CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success.
Tied to it, there's a difference than just going through the steps, right? It's not a job anymore.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting way for us to kick off. Folks, we're joined once again here on CMMS Radio by George Williams of ReliabilityX. Thanks for joining me, George.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. It's always a pleasure for us to hang out, man. I look forward to these moments, and I'm sorry that I had to kind of reschedule on us, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, not a problem. I mean, the reschedules happen. There's a lot of stuff going on, and with what you do and who you serve, things are going to come up, and you gotta handle stuff. And I'm pretty easy about that stuff. First of all, last time we spent some solid time together was down in Greenville at the Streamline conference, and that was a blast, man. I appreciate you bringing down the rig, setting that up for me. I'm editing some of those episodes now. They're not going to be released quite yet, but we'll be working on that. We had a handful with you, but I wanted to start off with asking you about, since the conference, is there anything you can share that kind of came out of that, what your experience was like, some of your favorite things about it?
Yeah, we certainly have some good connections that we make down there, and we have in the past. We've already had some follow-up meetings with some of those companies. So from a business perspective, it's a decent event in terms of it does a very good job of putting people in front of you. Like the folks that go to it don't mind walking through the expo. It's not you don't feel like they're herding sheep in there purposefully at a specific time. People kind of come and go. So I like it more organic like that. So the Streamline event, obviously run by the folks at Digital Thinker, they do a great job at making sure it's an organic event and a community related event. So from that perspective, from a business perspective, yeah, I think we'll do just fine. I don't gauge success of us being at a conference just in terms of that. I also gauge the success in terms of, did we have good brand recognition? Did our staff, whether it's myself speaking or somebody else speaking or folks that are at the booth, did we represent the company in the right light in the public and to the audience that attended our sessions? And from that perspective, I think we had a very successful event. So those things matter to me actually more than an initial sale does, right? So
yeah,
for me, what did the company look like? Did we represent ourselves with integrity? Or did I end up in a gutter drunk in the street someplace? So, two different outcomes, and I always want to strive for the first.
Yeah. Well, it was a blast. It was fun times. I know for Alex Bolin and team at Digital Thinker Incorporated, I'll second that shout out. I mean, they put on a great event, all class, well organized, and the theme this year was community, and that's going to be carrying forward. And all the feedback that I've gotten is that everybody liked that approach as opposed to step up and get pitch slapped or whatever it might be. So that was pretty cool. Let's switch gears a little bit. You've got something going on at ReliabilityX that I've seen it online. I haven't tried it out yet, I'll confess, but I want to ask, what on earth is the Kahoot quizzes, and why should somebody consider that?
Man, we are extremely excited about this, and I'll go through the details of it. But we're really excited about this because I think there's a huge opportunity for us to build a great community of shared learners via these Kahoots that we're going to be releasing. So first, let me explain the platform. If you're unfamiliar with it, Kahoot is a platform that with a license, you can create quizzes. And it's often used by teachers in elementary schools and middle schools. And they'll teach a subject, and then they bring up on a screen a QR code, and the QR code drives folks to essentially to scan a QR code. It goes on their phone, they pick a username, and then the whole class is kind of in a competition answering questions. About a year ago, we contacted Kahoot, and we negotiated we gave them our use case. Because normally, in order to host a Kahoot, you have to have an individual license with Kahoot, which costs about $900 a year. I'm sure that may be off now, but and so for individuals to do this, if I'm a maintenance manager, I got to spend $900 a year to host this Kahoot, and if I go there, there's not very good topics for maintenance. So we gave our use case to Kahoot and got some special licensing from them that allows us to allow our community to host Kahoots without having an individual Kahoot license as a proxy through our license. So what does that mean? That means we can generate a Kahoot on how to properly tension a belt. And it'll be a 10-question Kahoot, and we'll release it. And if you go to the link, it'll allow one person on your team to be the host. It'll say, hey, I'm going to host this Kahoot. It comes up on a screen if you're in a conference room or in your maintenance shop and happen to have a screen. And then everybody on your team can take a picture of the QR code with their phone, log in, and you are instantly in a team building environment where everyone is in a competition to see who can answer correctly and the fastest the questions that come up on the Kahoot. So we are in the process now. We've created Kahoots for the entire maintenance and reliability best practices framework, but we are in the process of creating thousands of Kahoots on pneumatics, on hydraulics, on gears and chains and mechanical alignment and laser alignment and use of infrared thermography and all kinds of topics where we're going to create these 10-question Kahoots, including we just started uploading or creating a series on troubleshooting, how to properly troubleshoot equipment. And so it goes through all the steps of troubleshooting, the thought process of problem solving. But this allows you to not only engage your team and have a fun time while they're competing to see who becomes first on the podium, but also to gauge their knowledge, which folks need a little bit more encouragement or a little bit of coaching, and which folks are getting the concepts and learning things. And so we're going to develop a ton of these. We're also working with our web development team to put up kind of a free membership side of our website, because right now the only way for us to do it is you fill out a form and get the link and you can host a Kahoot. But I mean, if you're doing that every single week, you're going to be tired of filling out the form all the time, and we're going to be tired of receiving the form. So we're going to stand up a free side of the website where folks will be able to access whatever Kahoot under whatever topic they want at any given moment. So if you just happen to not, it's not Friday morning when you do your team meeting, it's Thursday morning, great. On Thursday morning, here's a 15-minute icebreaker, 10-question Kahoot. They take 30 seconds each to go through the answers, and you can have a competition. And we're going to start, AJ's probably going to kill me, my marketing person. I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, but we're going to start a competition. I think it's going to be monthly. Because we know who's not who's taking it, but we know who filled out the form to get the link currently. We're going to randomly select people and give them access to Ramesh Gulati's online training, which is $1,000 value, absolutely free. So we're going to try to encourage people to kind of do this with us weekly and educate their team. It's team building. It's fun. It's learning. It's all kinds of things all at once. We are so excited about the opportunity here.
Yeah. The best thing about it is we all of us that cross paths, we're friends, we care about the industry. We all know that on the education side, being able to educate oneself, one's team, different people within an organization about all these different concepts around maintenance and reliability best practices, that is really where to start. And a lot of people don't have the time, but they also don't know which resource to use. And it's best if you have one that is grounded or founded in something that is already well proven out. It creates a type of standardization, but now you have access to something that will actually make an impact and get some of these things into your head, because it's not always just about, hey, can I get every question right? It's also about, do I really understand this? And now I can start to apply these things in a better way, because everyone on our teams has more than just surface level understanding of what we're talking about, what we're trying to do. Is that not right?
1,000%. And we're going to try so not only just on the maintenance best, I mean, we're taking Ramesh's book and we're doing a bunch of Kahoots on every chapter, but we're also going to take safety topics like ladder safety. So, people have a weekly safety meeting instead of doing it where somebody's reading this boring script. Hey, let's go have a 10-question Kahoot on ladder safety. It brings up the question, brings up multiple choice. Everybody answers. At the end of it, it tells you what the right answer was. You move on to the next one. So everybody's going to see what the right answers are. Everybody's going to learn because they're having fun, and it's team building at the same time. We're going to try to build as many of these things as we can. We're really excited to be able to offer this to the community. At essentially, a vast majority of them are going to be free. We don't know what the future holds if we're going to, if we put 10,000 of these things together. Because if you go to Kahoot and you pay $900 to have the license, to host somebody else's Kahoot that they have in the marketplace usually costs about $3 each time you host it. But we're giving them away. I mean, at least initially, until we get a gigantic library together that's worthy of maybe something else. The initial thought is, well, let's just educate everybody, give them an opportunity to team build culture, and go learn a few things.
I think that's the way you make an impact right away, as opposed to people having to cross that barrier of paying for it. And, you see what happens later, because people that will support it, get involved in it, and leverage it will support whatever the endeavor becomes when it comes to moving forward. And there's a lot of ideas. I mean, I got all kinds of ideas I want to throw at you, but I'm not doing it on the podcast because I don't want anybody to snag those ideas, because it happens all the time. And
I know it'll be a matter of weeks before somebody's competing with us and has their own Kahoot space. And
the difference is
how we negotiated a very specific license.
Yeah,
we'll have to see how that works out. They'll have to.
Well, the difference there, I'll just say it is, the purpose behind it will be quite different for the others, and that we know. Anybody that knows you, what you do at ReliabilityX, what you stand for, what you care about, I mean this in the most positive way, you're relentless about that. And I think that actually matters more than anything else in the end. And that's part of the reason I'm such a, fan, supporter, proponent of what you all do. So
we appreciate that very much, Greg.
Of course.
We really do. I mean, that's who we strive to be as an organization. It's who we strive to be as individuals inside of this organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's the type of people we make sure we hire. So, it means a lot that it's recognized out in the world, so to speak. So, we appreciate that very much.
Yeah. So let's switch gears again. I want to talk a little bit of CMMS. And lately, there's a lot going on out there in the world around, and everybody's sick of this topic, but I want to talk about it anyway. AI. And the thing I want to talk about is, like, in the realm of CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, the software we use for our work orders related to preventive maintenance, corrective maintenance, all that stuff. There's some that are doing it well. There's some that are just putting it on as a kind of a badge. Yeah, we got some AI and all this. What I want to ask you is how that could and should really work to make an impact within a CMMS platform, and what the concerns are that people should be aware of.
That's a big, giant, wide open question. So first, let's address where AI is today. Today, AI is a culmination of having access to millions of records and a thought engine that can concisely consolidate that into some text. excuse me, or a picture. I can go to Amazon Web Services today, start up my own AI chatbot, put it on my website, and all it's going to do is comb through my own information that I've already built and I've already put there, and provide answers to somebody that types a question. Is that AI? I guess it's consolidation of information. How does that translate into a CMMS? Excuse me. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's some. I'm not exactly positive how this will translate into the CMMS world with respect to just the CMMS, because the CMMS itself it can look at historical information you've already put in there, but in and of itself, without other information coming into it, it's not going to be machine learning by itself. From an AI perspective, I guess you could tell it, hey, write me a work order, but that's more automation than it is artificial intelligence. If I pull out my phone app and my CMMS has AI and I say, hey, take a picture of this asset. I don't know exactly what it is, but maybe you do. Write me a work order that says it needs to be bolted down better. I don't know. It might be able to recognize the picture from a library that already exists, write a work order for you, and fill out some fields. That's more automation than it is artificial intelligence, in my opinion. Artificial intelligence would be, hey, we're going to buy a new boiler system. Here's our 3 options. Go scour the planet and tell me which one's going to have the lowest total cost of ownership. Run a 10,000, 1,000-year life cycle Monte Carlo simulation, and without me having to input a bunch of data. I don't know that we're there yet. Maybe we will be, but I don't know that we're there yet. I think the other piece is, if other data does exist, like I know that the folks over at Upkeep just had a release, right? They just had a release announcement. And it looks like they're trying to pull in some of the operational side of things, in which case you might be able to, and I haven't looked at the solution yet, so I don't want to pass judgment on the solution. I'm not.
Right.
But if it's pulling in operational data, it might be able to do a combination of machine learning and forecasting to say, hey, based on how you're currently operating, I think we should pull the PM up a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Or your operation schedule has an opportunity in it, and I'm going to automate creating next week's work schedule. That's a great use of AI. I don't know that they're there yet, but I also don't know that they're not there yet. Maybe they are. I haven't looked at the solution. So I think for me, inside the CMMS, it's got to see other data. It's got to see ERP and cost data. It's got to see production orders. It's got to see process parameter information off the PLCs. If it can see all those things, then it can start using artificial intelligence to not only write work orders, but to schedule them appropriately, to tell you to go make minor adjustments to process parameters because your production throughput's not where it needs to be. Yeah. Like, you're going to need all that data centralized in order to get to that point. In and of itself, the CMMS information without other information is going to be very limited in how beneficial an AI plug onto it is.
Yeah, you're right that it's a really, really big question. There's too many things to consider. It's tough to kind of boil it down. However, if we look at specific functionality within a typical CMMS platform, there are certainly opportunities. We can call it AI, but it is machine learning. It's programmatic in nature. And I think about things like, how could AI within a CMMS platform look at how let's say I'm at a company, are using it, and we want to track work orders against warranty so that we know, hey, you're about to create something that is under warranty. Have you checked that yet? Which really sounds more like knowledge base and knowledge management within the context of the existing data and how we behave, how we use it. The thing I really am curious about, I've been thinking about this. I kind of know how to answer it, but I'm not sure if I'm right. Everybody putting AI into their platforms, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's I mean, it's
Don't tell
cool.
the marketing department that.
Well, aside from that, I think it might even be a differentiator if you have a CMMS platform out there in the world that like outright says, yeah, we're not using any AI because we haven't found the exact specific way to use it. Like that could be a really strong differentiator.
I guess that depends, right? If IT is driving the project, they might actually be asking the question, does your platform support AI or have a path forward to AI? I mean, people ask questions they don't fully understand all the time. And to some degree, even systems that are designed, we'll say, for smaller organizations that aren't really going to need a full-blown visual scheduler and all kinds of other functionality, for them to build AI in the system just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to their clientele, or their target, we'll say their target use cases. But that still might not stop people from saying they have something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all of my intelligence is artificial, so I've got AI built right in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another thing I think about, and AI or not, like maybe we get away from that subject, but I'm starting to get a lot of questions from people about planning and scheduling when it comes to maintenance management, asset management.
Yeah.
And I think it's an area where everyone seems to struggle. And I don't know if it's because we don't really know what right looks like, or if we've tried to do planning and scheduling without understanding what it really is.
That's ding, ding, ding. It's the second.
So now we're back to education.
Yeah, now we're back to education, but it's a really simple education. Are you ready?
Yep.
Before there were planners and schedulers, did we just not get any work done?
No, we got stuff done.
All right, so we still got stuff done. So theoretically, a planner could be really bad at their job and will just still get the work done. Might not be as efficiently done, but someone's going to get the parts and someone's going to install them. Fair statement?
Yeah.
So we don't really need planners if they're not making the workforce more efficient.
So planning is directly correlated or linked to efficiency.
It has to be.
Otherwise, you don't need it.
Look, but here's what happens with companies. I've got 40 maintenance technicians, and I hear about this planning and scheduling stuff, and I read Ramesh's book, and I go, man, we need planning. And I hire one planner, and I bury them under 40 people, and they can't possibly be successful. The planner, not knowing any better, tries to plan all the work to some level of success, which means none of it's truly planned fully. And it's through no fault of their own. They're trying to keep up with 40 people. So they do all this work, but we're not actually gaining any efficiency because the job goes out in the field and the parts aren't all ready to go in the storeroom, or the job goes out in the field and it was lacking information. Right? For a variety of reasons, we didn't fully plan the job. And so we're not seeing the success of planning in most organizations because their approach has been just what I said. We read a book and we've got 40 people, but instead of hiring the 3 planners we actually need, we're going to hire 1. And that person's going to be completely unsuccessful trying to keep up with 40 people because they don't know to de-scope themselves. The planning function, and then the maintenance staff is going to go, what do I need a planner for? That's ridiculous. I don't need planners. And you've got to be able to combat that as well. And that's a simple argument, but you've got to be able to make it. It's an efficiency exercise. The day before Henry Ford flipped the switch on the assembly line, everybody in his plant could build a car from the ground up. It didn't mean the assembly line was a shitty idea. Just because you can plan your own work doesn't mean you should plan your own work. A planner can coordinate all the materials faster trying to coordinate the materials for 10 jobs versus trying to coordinate the materials for one job at a time and trying to execute the job. So it's about decompartmentalizing the steps to get the work done. Now, on the CMMS side of things, and I'm a big fan of other people that teach planning and scheduling, and I'm not going to mention the name of an individual, but I see lots of posts that say planners have to get off their ass and go out in the field. And I don't disagree with that when it is required. But part of the role of the planner is to make the CMMS their best friend. Meaning, if I've planned it once and I had to go out in the field to scope it, I should not have to do all that again the next time I find myself with the same work. And since 99% of the work that we do in our plants every day is repetitive in nature, meaning it's not brand new and has never happened before, we should be able to document within the CMMS what it takes to strip a piece of equipment down, what it takes to rebuild it, what the parts are, associate them on a BOM. But that's all part of planning that one job. And because the planner's overwhelmed, guess what part of his job or her job they don't get to? Updating the CMMS to make it smarter for the next time, because they don't have time to do that. So they just keep chasing their tail and they keep going back out in the field, and they don't make the system smarter, not because of any fault of their own. They just don't have the time to do it. And so they never become better planners in terms of efficiency of planning work. And the system never becomes smarter in terms of being able to look up that information. And so we're chasing our tails and not seeing the value or benefit of planning. Now, that's just planning. On the scheduling side of things, we fall short because we think maintenance owns the schedule, and they think maintenance owns the backlog, and it's not your backlog. It's just not. You don't own it. If you owned it, you could just go shut equipment off anytime you felt like it. So it belongs to operations. It's their schedule. Your job is to execute. It's their job to say, hey, line one's going to be down for 4 hours on Tuesday. I need all these work orders done. That's operations job. Your job is the conveyance of risk. Hey, if we don't take line one down and get this work done, you're not going to have a line one. That's conveyance of risk. The CMMS system needs to be able to say, hey, I got a 4-hour window on Tuesday for line one. What are all the work orders in any trade that I can get done in that same window?
On line one.
On line one. So that I reduce my backlog without, in the future, asking for downtime on the line. How do I optimize my available asset time? The CMMS should work from a scheduling perspective a lot like searching for a new house on realtor.com or any or Zillow or whatever. I want it 3 bedrooms. It's got to have 2 baths. I want this many square footage. Well, in the CMMS, you're going, okay, well, operations said I can have line 2 and I can have it for 4 hours and I can do this and I can do that. And here's the staff I'm going to have available on Monday. Show me the closest results to what I'm already doing that I can fill the schedule with. The same way you search for a house. And none of them really do it that way. And I don't understand why they don't do it that way. And I should probably just build a CMMS because I can't understand for the life of me why they don't work that way.
Yeah, but then we got to roll it out and sell a bunch of it and take really good care of people, and we still won't be number one because we're not going to do pay to play and all this crap. And then somebody's going to go, well, could you change this one little thing? And now we're off the rails. I mean,
I have no intention of going down that route, that's for sure. But they should function that way. And the other reason is, like, I think the whole CMMS is completely centered around the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked. We've talked about that in the past, where the if I recall correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, no problem. Primarily location, and where's my asset?
Right now, we tie everything to assets, and I agree. Location is more important because that's the P&ID. But all the work that we do is to the component. It's like we go out because a part broke. We go out and a PM task is designed to mitigate a failure on a part. No one goes out and does work on, generally speaking, the air handler, meaning the big metal box. They grease the bearings, they check the belts, they do work to parts. And all of our assets are a collection of parts. If the CMMS was centrally function around the way parts fail, then we identify an asset as a collection of parts, then our PM strategies build themselves because we've built the strategy down at the part level.
Interesting.
Different topic of discussion.
Well, with everything we just talked about, I got an interesting idea about this AI mumbo jumbo. And if you have a CMMS that can literally look at line 1 or line 2 is going to be down for 4 hours on Monday or on Tuesday, and you build in your AI, sorry, I'm just giving this to everybody. You build in your AI to look for and identify that and go and find everything we have that's pending or coming up real soon on that same exact line, pull this all in so we can now slice it and dice it, kit it, and knock that shit out in 4 hours. That's how you use AI for your planning and your scheduling inside of your CMMS. But if you're going to build it, folks, build it right. Don't just make assumptions. You're going to have to really understand how your platform works and looks for that. So there's a nugget for everyone to go chase.
And to add to that, Greg, if you can start documenting things appropriately in the CMMS, like these work orders are electrician skill level 2 and these are skill level 1, and you start knowing who gets what work based on skill levels, then AI can start matching the right work to the right people, so that you're not having mistakes that way too, because that happens as well.
Yeah, and somebody would have to manage that no matter what. It's not going to be a magic silver bullet. It's not going to be a set it and forget it, because the one thing about all this programmatic AI stuff is the tendency towards hallucinations. More common there are hallucinations than there are not, and that's not a dig. That's an actual thing that somebody needs to understand. You have to maintain the things that you use to maintain the things that you maintain, and that is not going to change. It will not.
The administrative function is often the entity that folks do not put enough emphasis on, and it's the reason that they complain about their CMMS implementations and why they're not getting the value, while the data's not up to date, and 1,000 reasons why the administrative function is underpaid and underutilized and underskilled
and undervalued
and underappreciated.
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, we've all seen it 1,000 times, and we're going to see it again and again and again. And I think it's one of those fights that you just keep fighting, and that's how it goes. Oh man, that looks good. What are you drinking there?
It's called Poor Reliability. It's
nice.
P-O-U-R, not P-O-O-R.
That's hilarious. I can't wait to get the episode out just because of that. That's going to be the opening thumbnail, dude. You slugging some brew.
That's my beer brand is Poor Reliability, P-O-U-R.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So I've heard. We'll switch gears again. We got some stuff coming up in next couple of months or so. I want to, because I'm probably going to whip. Well, talk to me. What do you got coming? What do you got going?
Next week? Next Friday, April 4th. I think Friday's the 4th. Oof.
Yeah.
I'll be down in Philadelphia speaking at a Brightly event.
Nice.
So Brightly's having me come in and do a presentation on our framework. It just so happens that I'll be presenting at the Philadelphia Cricket Club, where I used to work.
That's where the event is at?
Yeah.
Nice.
Years ago, in the late 90s, I was a maintenance mechanic, maintenance technician at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. And so it'll be really exciting to go back to St. Martin's and check out the old digs.
Yeah, and is it a full day presentation, or is it one of the shorter ones?
I've got a 1 hour presentation. It's only a 1 day event, so I'll be kicking it off, and then I'll be sticking around and hanging out to see how it goes.
Yeah, that's part of the Brightly on tour.
Yeah, so Corey will be there, so it'll be nice to see him and hang out. Yeah.
Shout out to Corey Dickens. Yeah, he likes when I do this. Shout out to Corey Dickens.
Yeah, perfect.
What happens after that?
Then we've got a couple of training courses for clients coming up. I'm not going to necessarily disclose those. We've got the SMRP Targeted Insights Symposium.
Louisville?
It's in Louisville.
Yep.
That'll be in, when is that? May, I think. May? April? Oh, crap.
I think it's May.
And then what's after that? So Targeted Insights. And then I'll be at the University of Wisconsin in May as well, teaching a couple courses, including, am I teaching CMMS setup and utilization? I think I am.
I hope so.
I should know that. I think I am. I'll look that up real quick while we're sitting here, but I think I am. Yeah, I should probably know that. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting time, and you're going to be at a few places as well, yeah?
Yeah. So next up for me is on the 7th, I get the honor and the pleasure to open up the Mobius Connect Live in Houston. I'll be on stage with one and only Howard Penrose, Motor Doc, and we're just going to have a blast of a time on that stage, opening up the event, and we're going to get super real about some of the industry trends. We're going to have a little fun with AI, slap it around some, talk about the realities there. That's going to be a blast. And then after that, I might do some podcasting while I'm at the event. Then in June, I've got, not sure what's going on in May yet. There's a lot of things pending, so I don't want to overstep and say I'm going anywhere. But June, we've got Reliable Plant Conference up in Chicago. Yeah. It's one of my favorite conferences. I'll be there doing an onstage panel discussion. That'll be a couple of different people that are going to be up there with me. I got Brian Bieschke, Upkeep. I've got Alex Bolin from Digital Thinker on the stage with me. I've got Trent McJunkin.
I love it.
Trent's awesome. And yeah, it's true. It's true. And I'm also going to have Andy Gager.
Nice.
All on the stage with me. So I get to bring the real experts with the real insights to basically go beyond the buzzwords. We're going to smash a bunch of buzzwords and help some people add value to what they're trying to do with CMMS. And after that, it could really start spinning out. And I will, in October, finally be at the SMRP conference. And I'm still working out all the details, but I'll at least be able to attend, and that's going to be fun. So I'll get to see you again. I get to finally meet Ramesh Gulati because I know he's going to be there, and a bunch of other people I've known but never got to shake their hands. So that by itself is going to be really fun for me. And then in between some of those, I'll have some other stuff, but it's not finalized yet. So we'll leave that out.
Nice. Well, it'll be good to see a bunch of those various events, or at least somebody from my team will see you at most of those events.
Yeah.
We've got so by the way, yeah, CMMS setup and utilization is May 21st and 22nd
nice.
At UW. So if folks are interested in a system agnostic, much deeper understanding of all things CMMS, not only on the functionality side of things, but how to run a project to select, implement, train, and roll out a CMMS system. The CMMS setup and utilization course at UW is right up your alley. I mean, it's the only system agnostic CMMS course that exists.
Yep. And I try to promote it every year. So get me some stuff on that so I can put that out. I'll put it up in this episode when I get this out so that people have a way to get to that. Is that also going to have an online component, or is it just going to be at
Yeah,
the
no,
school?
it's either in person or virtual. Yeah, so you can still join virtually. So from anywhere on the planet, you can sign up at the University of Wisconsin's Interpro website, and you'll be able to just access via Teams. So yeah, and
Good,
we still do
good.
exercises and break into groups. So you're not just kind of stuck on an island watching a class. That's not how it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anybody that knows how you teach, how you present, how you instruct, and the way it flows, it's a really solid experience. I can attest to that. And for this episode, I want to do something a little bit different on our closeout, and I just kind of made this up on the spot. But I'd like to have you, George, for this world of maintenance management, reliability, CMMS, anything like that. Is there anything that's on your mind that you would want to convey to someone on this journey that they should be watching out for, be doubling down on, anything like that, just off the cuff?
The easiest thing is reliability is for the sake of the business. It is not for the sake of the asset. If you keep trying to go down this path of let's revamp our PMs and let's plan work, and you're doing it because you happen to own an asset, but you don't know how to tie it back to the business, you're treading in dangerous waters. I've seen lots of programs fall on their face because they don't do a great job of tying things back to the business. Understand what the business proposition and value is of the assets that you're trying to maintain, and make sure that you're always linking your efforts back to what that value proposition is. We've got to do the right things that create, if you're in production, it's high quality product out the door. If you're a university, it's student experience and research. If you're a pharmaceutical research and development plant, it's about making sure that that research can take place and the lights are on and the environment's correct. It's about risk mitigation. Understand what business you're in and what the asset's value proposition is, and everything you do needs to tie back to that value. Everything else you can learn. You can learn about how to do a PM optimization. You can learn about planning and scheduling. You can learn all those things. And if you're a maintenance manager, a reliability person, it doesn't really matter. You've got to understand what's the value proposition of the assets that you are responsible for.
Love it. That's how we're going to close the show. George Williams, ReliabilityX. Thank you for once again being on CMMS Radio.
All right, Greg. Cheers, brother.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.